Now I'd like to call Dr. Pallavi Joshi. She'll be talking on managing the known and grown in adults and old age.
Not this.
What?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Malik, sir, for including me in this IC. So what I would be now speaking for the next 10-12 minutes will be about basically a roadmap of approaching patients who have itching and watering in the adults and old age. So that's why we have put it as a known and grown. So itching and watering symptoms are the most commonest which we see in our daily practice. There is no doubt about it. But they are having varied as well as overlapping symptoms. Means same person may have different etiologies. And understanding this is very important for two things. One, because it allows us to find out what the patient has, and unless we don't know what it is, the treatment will not be fine. So this is volume.
Yeah, what exactly do you feel?
I feel the itching,
Okay,
watering,
okay.
pain, that's what.
Are you using medications?
Yes,
Are they helping you, sir?
little bit.
Little bit.
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, 12 days back, she gave me 16 and acute. So I'm applying that. So after that, little bit, that is not completely cured.
Yeah, so as you can hear this, I'm sure every one of you have seen. Patient gives a detailed explanation of watering, itching, irritation, medicine you have taken, liya, but not happy. So let's see why basically this is. So let's unbox this itching, watering in the adults. I cannot cover everything, so these four most important things we'll be covering. One is the ocular allergy, chronic conjunctivitis, drug-induced eye problems, and last but not least, the blepharitis. So we all are aware that ocular allergy is basically an allergic keratoconjunctivitis, which is a collection of diseases which have mainly allergic origin. And it can be mild, transient, but it can also be very severe. Second is it affects, allergic conjunctivitis affects the whole of the lid, right from lid, conjunctiva, cornea, tear film, everything gets affected. And it has a multifactorial immune mechanism. Usually prognosis is fine, but the patients can, if not treated properly or improper treatment, can lead to inflammation and even vision threatening complications. So simplest classification, we know clinical classification as seasonal, perennial, atopic keratoconjunctivitis and vernal. If you go a little bit in detail, this again can be divided into IgE dependent and IgE independent, or IgE and something else. So if you see, the seasonal and perennial are purely IgE acute occurrence, whereas the vernal, AK and the contact dermatitis have both IgE as well as the T cell mediated. Why do we need to know this? Because whatever we use is all because why it occurs. So if you see this pathway, it is multifactorial. One, majority of allergies have epigenetic phenomena. There is also inflammation, there is an inciting factor, and the combination of adaptive and innate immunity which are taking place. So we know that in this case, as I said, in case of seasonal or perennial, it is purely Ig mediated, eosinophils are there, degranulation occurs, and we treat them symptomatically. But it is not as simple in case of the VKC and in the case of AKC, where T cell mediated reactions occur. And last but not least, the most important principle we all know is that ocular allergy can actually create a milieu for dryness. So patient will say, I have itching also, watering also, but he also has dryness. And this is something we should understand, because the allergy affects the lid, it produces meibomian gland disease, allergy damages the goblet cell, it damages the stability of tear film, and it also affects some amount of scarring, producing aqueous deficiency. So all these three affect the allergy. So all of us know that VKC is usually in children, but we have adult VKC, which is usually seen in 10% of patients who come to us in clinical practice. There are two types of adult VKC. One which has actually started as a child, but normally we say ki puberty ke baad it will settle. But these are the ones in whom it doesn't. And there's one more in which we call late onset VKC, which occurs after puberty. So this is a adult VKC. So what are the features of this? These most important are the 6 things. When you see an adult VKC, usually here we all know that in males it is more common, in children, whereas in adult it is not having that kind of this. Second, there is no family history. Third thing is they don't have any systemic allergies also. Because we see in children sometimes they have either rhinitis, asthma, something. But the adult VKCs don't have this. And the adult VKC is a longer duration and requires more treatment. And there is a lot of androgen overexpression, hence it is more visually threatening. So how do we see what is most important different here is you see usually higher incidence of subconjunctival fibrosis in these patients. They will not have corneal ulcers like shield ulcers, what you see in children, and usually tarsal thinning. So here you can see that they have more lid issues rather than the limbal issues. But
You can continue.
okay.
Continue.
And also they have the presence of limbal stem cell deficiency. So these are a few pictures of the adult VKC pigmentation, and you can see this is a chronic sequel. You can see nice pearls of conjunctival cysts which are there, because indicating of basically it is a chronic inflammation that's occurring. And the quality indicator has been assessed, and these adult patients are the ones who are very much disturbed as compared to children, and the most commonest complication is itching. So what are the challenges in management of an adult? We can see is mainly like any other principle. My next speaker will be covering this in the children's this, so I will not be this. We know this is the bag we all have. Anti-allergics are there, steroids are there, topical lubricants are there. We also have the immune modulators as well as systemic therapy. But this everybody knows. What is most important is how do we deal with this? So a new recent study came which came based on evidence that how do we treat these allergies in adults. So this study basically gives this spectrum in which mild, moderate, severe as per the presentation, how do we approach. Now what has happened from conventional to what has happened here is the use of immune modulators has been earlier. Before we used to try with antihistaminics, we used to give steroids, but an understanding that, as I said, the immunology shows that there is a T cell mediated pathology. So immune modulators come in a lot early, and that helps in taking care. Second change is we are now moving slowly in case of redundant cases to go for systemic immunotherapy. So a paper by Gokhale et al. Have reported that in very severe form of VKCs, use of cyclosporin systemically also tends to reverse. So don't hesitate to use systemic immunomodulators, but in accordance with a rheumatologist. And this can save the eyes rather than wait for things to go bad. Next one is atopic keratoconjunctivitis, which we all know is associated with skin or dermatitis. So these patients will usually be having it coming anytime when they have the dermatitis in their body. What is important in this we should know is that patients who have atopic dermatitis, 95% of them will be the ones who are having the eye involvement, whereas all dermatitis may not have. So what I am trying to bring home here is if somebody has atopic keratitis, then they definitely will be having dermatitis, and the reverse may not be true. So referral to a dermatologist is good. So here what is the difference is, this is a telltale sign. Typically you see this is the pigmentation more inferior. Everything in atopy is inferior, whereas in VKC it is more up. So this is a typical pigmentation which we can see. And we know that in case of AKC it is more severe and it affects the cornea more. Why? Because pathophysiologically here in case of AKC patients there is release of some substance called as gelatinase which causes the damage to the cornea, limbal cells damage, and causes vascularization. So this is the typical, you might have seen such patients who come and say, yahan pe khujli hota hai. This is the panda eye, which you can see there is periocular pigmentation and the Denny Morgan fold because of release of the tear film. This is, you can see there is presence of corneal involvement. Whenever you see allergy, papillae and corneal involvement which is not in the upper part like a shield ulcer, please understand it may be an atopic keratoconjunctivitis. They can go to this kind of a condition, and this is the worst form of this when they come to you after many years. I treated here, I treated there. This is because it was a missed atopy. Classically you see that the lid is very thickened up, meibomian gland disease, total LSCD, and there you are seeing something called cicatrization. Atopic patients have scarring, which you will never see in patients with vernal. So we have to always look for this, just move the lid down. This can go if left untreated. So treatment for atopic keratoconjunctivitis is the same in mild and moderate. What is most important I want to is in refractive AKC, you have to start them on oral immunomodulators like cyclosporin, or nowadays also this drug which is the biologicals. We know we have infliximab, rituximab, but this drug that is the omalizumab, which is actually a IgE antibody, is found to be very effective. These patients actually who are not responding to anything can go with these medications under an allergy specialist list treatment. Severe forms of it can be brought under control. Then we treat them with topical or other systemic immune modulators like MMF, or they can go for azathioprine. What I'm trying to draw here is AKC, when it becomes severe, it has to be treated with systemic immunomodulators. So another interesting thing which I came across is the dermatologists have found that there is a gut dystrophy. Means if gut microbes are bad, then the skin diseases are getting exacerbated. So even now there are few studies where they have started using this lactobacillus enterogerminum, which we give as the probiotics, found to reduce their dermatitis. So this is something new which even probably may help the AKC. Last but not least, sir, I'll take 2 more minutes, sir.
Yeah.
This is something which skin prick test. I'm sure somebody must have told you that everybody does skin prick test, and they say about immunotherapy. Two most important things I want you all to take from this is skin prick test is a standard test for identification of sensitization, and giving immunotherapy means desensitizing the patient can be only done if then the skin prick test a specific IgA mediated allergy is there. Otherwise it may not act. And there were 3 types which you all know. People used to give oral immunotherapy, but the fear was anaphylaxis, and also there was subcutaneous, which was very cumbersome. But nowadays we use something called as sublingual immunotherapy, which is actually very comfortable and less reaction, but it has to be taken at least for 1 to 2 years. Most important aspect of slit is usually sometimes in the first 6 months they may have acute exacerbation of the previous allergy. So slit has a role, but it has to be more defined in case of eye allergies also. Contact dermatitis, we all are aware, it is when it comes in contact with the skin. This occurs with almost all the AGMs that we are aware about, and most commonest being the ones which have preservatives. Just to show you this typical sago grains you're seeing, I'm sure you must have seen them in all patients. These are the follicular reactions because of chronic preservative containing AGMs, as well as AGMs themselves produce this. The simplest here is, in such cases we have to use preservative free AGMs and patients respond well. Just see this patient. She was with this kind of a picture using chronic AGM for past 6 months, was not ready to leave because she thought she'll lose her eye. And just after 10 days of stopping it, it has absolutely recovered. So please be mindful of seeing if it is persistently happening, what could be the cause. Last but not least, this is another picture of cicatrizing conjunctivitis. This is something, is a big spectrum. What is it is when you treat the patient with even lubricants as well as you treat them with steroids, patient is being refractive, then please look at, are you missing something called cicatrizing conjunctivitis. It is a rare disease, but it is one commonest reason where patient keeps coming back. I don't know, I am not happy. आँख में खुजली है, पानी आ रहा है. This is the most commonest where you have to look and check for typically whether there is presence of medial punctal stenosis, and usually typical cicatrizations are starting on the medial aspect. Causes are many, but to say the most commonest we tend to see is again atopy, and second sometimes is the ocular cicatrizing pemphigoid, and the most commonest being drug-induced pemphigoid, that is pseudopemphigoid because of chronic use of medications. How do you treat them is most important, give chair time. These are those patients you have to take detailed history, and if you find that there is presence of cicatrization, this is a patient after treatment, the previous patient, so they respond well. We need to take the biopsy of the conjunctiva and send it for identification, and also do immunofluorescence to rule out any autoimmune disorder. If autoimmune disorder is negative, then assume that it is more of an inflammatory. Last but not least, I'm sure all of us have seen the eyes, but we are so focused on the cornea, a little on the lens and the pupil, we forget the lid. But Demodex blepharitis is known to occur. It is usually seen in 50 to 70 years of age group people, caused by a mite. Patients complain of lot of itching and erythema. Very troubling for the patient. The classic sign is, what you can see here is you see greasy cylinder-like crust along the lid. If you can see this thing here. So, patient lid, if you are seeing a cylindric trough with greasy thing, please pick it up and see it under the microscope. You can see the mite moving. So if you pick such a thing, please, it has to be treated, and it has to be treated in a different way. So what are the treatment modalities? Most of us use the tree oil, or we can use ivermectin and metronidazole, topical or systemic. A new drug is come, which is under the phase 3 trial called Lotinalair, which is a drop format, but lid hygiene is very important. And one more small clinical nugget here is, if the blepharitis is there, you have to pick up this. Sometimes it may not be a mite, but it can be a lice. So these two, blepharitis also, are the things which see in the older age group where we can. Last but not least is the angular blepharitis. We all see the macerations which we actually tend to miss. This usually occurs because of either staphylococcus or classically we have been taught as the Moraxella. And treatment is usually erythromycin, or you can also treat any emulant, will be okay in this case. So to conclude, itching and watering can be of various etiology in the grown-up. Please understand, and this can be that allergic disease, both AKC and adult VKC, is very underestimated. We think it may be just patient is complaining unless we look for it. Third is we need to treat them with dryness. And last but not least, chronic conjunctivitis is actually a window to a disease in the body. Please don't miss it. If you see cicatrization, punctal stenosis, please go a little more further in investigating. So last but not least, if patient is persistently complaining of any itch, we need to watch it. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pallavi, for that elaborative